Who's next?
Yo, Wildcat,
Wildcat.
were you here when earlier Tupac was trying to point out that it's not a reductio unless you use the same semantic content?
Yes.
So, do we agree that if somebody says that they're 12 years old, and by year they mean 1 unit of 365 days, right? And let's say a 35-year-old man identifies as 12 years old. If we're using year to mean 1 unit of 365 days, that 35-year-old man would have a false belief, namely that he's 12 units of 365 days old when he's actually 35 units of 365 days old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's a false belief that person has, okay? So that's the importance of not equivocating. Now, what false belief do trans people have that makes them delusional in virtue of their gender and sex differing?
that their biological reality isn't what it is.
Yeah, name the belief.
So the belief is that they have a gender identity. They have a soul. It's a soul claim that they have a gender identity which changes their sex.
I don't think that they think that their sex is changing. That's just to equivocate.
Do you not feel that the term sexual reassignment surgery is a suggestion of that?
Yeah, I think there are some trans people who do that. Yeah, but in order for your argument to go through that trans people have like a mental illness, aka like a delusion, aka a false belief, it'd have to apply to all trans people, otherwise it's not a universal claim.
Okay, well, let's apply it in a different way. Do souls exist?
Say again?
Do souls exist?
I don't believe so.
No. Would you say that most people probably, for example, in the United Kingdom, the majority of the country are atheist, so they wouldn't believe that souls exist? So would you say that that's a fair representation across Western society? Yeah. So it's fair to say that most of those trans people, if they're a reflection of just general population, that most of those trans people would also not believe in a soul claim.
Sure, but I don't think you have to be like religious to believe in a soul, but go ahead.
Oh, what? Could you just wait a second?
This is just so confused.
Yeah, I know that you can't keep up. So in terms of the soul claim, so would it be a false belief then? So if somebody knows or if somebody believes that souls aren't a real thing, to then make a gendered soul claim, do you think that would be a false belief?
Yeah, but I don't think that trans people are making some claim about ensoulment. And to be clear, I don't think that you think that either.
So wait a second. So right, you've pointed out that. So this is your presupposition. So you've pointed out that a number of trans people don't have sexual reassignment surgery or don't believe that they're the wrong sex. So how else do they believe that they're trans?
Yeah, well, they believe that they're like a different gender. So like if let's say so I'm trying to explain in the same way that that 35-year-old man, as long as we're using year to mean 1 unit of 365 days, we can say that person has a.
We're talking about gender.
I know we are. It's called an analogy. I'm going to draw an analogy here. So
I know it's the one that I made. Do you remember?
Right. So as long as we're not equivocating or using different definitions, then somebody who says, like, let's say,
I'm trying to get you to define what your understanding of gender is.
Yeah, it's like certain societal roles and the desire to commit to certain societal roles.
Okay.
Those can be masculine, feminine. If you've ever told somebody, if you've ever told somebody to man up, and by man up you meant stop being afraid, you've used a gendered term. Like, do you agree that man up can mean stop being afraid?
If you wanted to, I don't have any particular association.
Yeah, so by that, if somebody says that they're a man, and by man they don't mean that they were born with like primary sex organs of a male, and they just mean that they're like a brave person, you agree that they wouldn't be using the word in a different way. Like if you were saying that if you were using the word in the way that they were using it, you'd have to say that they are courageous, right?
Well, we're kind of straying from your burden here, so I'm trying to ask you to.
Well, it seems like you would agree, though, right? Because you said that man up can be used to be saying like, "Don't be afraid."
Completely, I'm gonna be brutal. it's completely irrelevant to what we're talking about, because whether there's a slang or a colloquial phrase which we use, which incorporates the word man, is not what's at question here. So what's at question is what your understanding of gender is.
Yeah, it's going to be things like that, things that are related to like sociological habits of.
So your understanding of gender is people using slang.
Well, I didn't say that. I said it'd be things like that, like sociological commitments and people's desires to fall in line with those commitments. Right, like wearing, yeah. Like in the same way that if you think that a woman is an adult human female, and you think that a female is somebody like with like a poon between their legs, you could still know that Cinderella is a woman, even though she doesn't have a poon between her legs, right?
There are contexts to. You're jumping over a bit here. So.
Well, do you agree that Cinderella is a woman?
So actually, no, I don't.
You don't think Cinderella's a woman?
No, I don't.
Do you think Superman is a man?
No.
You don't. You wouldn't say it's an accurate description to say of Cinderella that she is an adult woman.
Okay, what you're doing here is you're presupposing my view, and that's causing you to come to these conclusions that are wrong. Okay.
Well, yeah, I think you're doing the same thing with trans people's view, though, right? Like, let's imagine you walk out.
That's another presupposition.
Right. So well, I think that you've proved that my presuppositions were correct at every turn. So let's say another example.
You don't know what my views are about trans people. You haven't investigated.
Well, every time I've probed into an aspect of them, you've ended up agreeing with me.
No, that's not what's happened. So you're going to have to just start again from the beginning, so that we can go in a linear.
Sure. So my original question was. Here's my original question.
You're struggling a little bit.
Here's my original question. I'll be very linear.
We're not asking that again. What we're doing is trying to investigate your understanding of gender. Okay? So when somebody is saying that my gender does not align with my body, which is what the claim of being transgender is, my inner sense of self does not align with my physical reality. So what is your understanding? Because my view is that that's a soul claim. To say that
my understanding of that would be something like, so let's say that there's somebody who's overweight, and they look in the mirror and they think, well, I'm a pretty charismatic guy. It doesn't really bother me. I know I am overweight, but it doesn't really cause me any anguish. And then let's say that there's the same person who's the same amount of being overweight, but they look in the mirror and they go like, I don't want to bathe myself. I can't hold down a job. This has caused me a lot of mental distress. I think that the advice that you would give to that second person is to maybe, get liposuction or work out or eat better. And that would just be instructions on how to help them make their mental representation of themselves more aligned with what they see in their outer body. And that would be the same case for trans people. They're saying that there exists some aspect of my person that doesn't align with my mental representation of like who I think that I am. Right? And they're not saying anything about biology.
Yeah, so what I'm just gonna go with here, because I don't think that I'm quite explaining it well enough.
I would agree there.
Because you clearly aren't getting it. So, that's just a politer way of saying you aren't understanding the conversation.
Right, it's just your rhetoric kind of backfired on you because it could be interpreted differently,
If that's what you want to believe, I'm going to let you.
Oh, wait, so you can let people believe what they want to believe? Wow, that's crazy.
Absolutely, because that's what because that's what I believe that gender is. It's a belief system.
Yeah, but your claim is that those people have a false belief. And I'm wondering what the argument is that establishes that transgender people have a false belief in virtue of their gender and sex differing.
In the same way, so this is why I'm trying to investigate what you consider gender to be, because if we don't understand that, then we're talking past each other. But
Right.
I'll explain it from my perspective, because you don't know what gender is. You can't tell me.
Well, I just did tell you. Can you try and steel man my definition?
Well, I can't steel man your definition because you didn't give one.
Well, I did. I said it would be something
You
like...
said Superman. You said, right, okay, you said Man Up. You said Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You said Cinderella.
Well, those would be
You
the
said
examples I gave, but my definition would be like...
You said,
Yeah.
You said, let me finish. You said if a fat person doesn't want to be fat and upsets them, that we should give them advice about how to lose weight. Although some fat people won't be upset about that, so we just don't have to worry about it in those cases. None of those 5 things tell me what your view of gender is.
Well, yeah, because none of those 5 things were my definition of gender that I used.
But do you want to repeat it? Because obviously
Yeah,
I didn't understand.
it would be like the separation of like masculine and feminine societal roles and the desire to commit to those roles.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well, let's go down that line then.
Sure.
So a desire to commit to feminine roles.
Yeah.
What's a feminine role?
Well, so yeah, I mean that's a more nuanced conversation that we would have to even acknowledge that there's a sex and gender
We're about
distinction.
to have it.
Right. Well, I mean, it would like depend on the preference of the utterer of the statement, right? Like some people think that like having long hair is feminine. Some people don't. Some people think that like rock climbing is feminine. Some people don't. Like it does. Like I'm not making any claims on what the categories
So
are.
you're kind of saying that there aren't feminine roles.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that people can disagree on what is feminine. But it will still be the case that if somebody thinks that activity X is feminine and person 2 thinks that activity X is not feminine, person 1 will still believe that activity X is feminine. And so if they want to commit to that role that they think is feminine, then that's just going to be a commitment that they have, a desire that they have.
Okay, so that leads us back to what is gender identity then? Because if it's feminine is nebulous, it's down to the individual.
Yeah, I mean, I think vague concepts can exist, right?
Of course, vague concepts can exist, but what we're
so there's no problem with it being nebulous,
but
right?
We're talking about falsifying gender identity.
Yeah, because you think they have a false belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
What
why I said
false belief?
falsifying.
What false belief applies to all trans people? Go ahead.
Because if they are believing in this sole claim, this gender identity,
Right.
and that's not a belief system that they hold elsewhere in their lives. Just the same as if somebody understands a year to be 365 days, and they've completed that 35 times, and they're then claiming that they're 12 years old, they understand that that's a false belief.
Right, but but that's to assume that you're not equivocating. And in these arguments that you've been giving, you have been equivocating. You've been using woman to mean female when I'm not using it that way. You've been using nebulous when I was saying vague.
Last ditch attempt. Okay, so let's.
I mean, my time's up. So yeah, go ahead.
So let's go with what do you think a woman is then?
Guys,
What are your semantics?
What do you mean?
I need you to wrap up so we can get to other people.
Well, it depends. If I'm like in a conversation with somebody like you, I would say that a woman is an adult human female because I don't want to equivocate on what you mean by woman. But if you're asking me what a progressive might mean by woman, it would be like a person who desires to align.
What you mean?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the context, I could mean either. But if I know the question that you're trying to ask me, I would just say that it's a person who has a strong desire to commit to roles that are societally feminine, right?
Yeah, which is not what women are in any society. That's not how anybody uses the word.
Well, you just asked me how I use the word, and I said I could use it that way. So that's just false, right? That's a blunder to say nobody uses it that way after I just used it that way, right? That's gonna be the infinity blunder, actually.
All right, okay, it's a false belief because you've just explained to me that femininity isn't a thing.
I didn't. I said it was a vague concept. I didn't say it wasn't a thing. Are you tracking?
Yes.
You are tracking. So you agree that's blunder number a trillion.
I'm gonna have to push it along.
Yeah, later, man. Thanks, host. Yo, Wildcat, you're kind of subhuman mentally, right?
Better than you, I know.
Subhuman mentally. What? You know what? I'm gonna
You
stop.
haven't made any sense the whole fucking time you've been up here, buddy. So
Yeah, leave it to the echo chamber to be the arbiters
You're
of
just
truth.
upset
Yeah.
because you're just upset because Wildcat was tearing apart your ideology and you couldn't even
Yo,
explain it
never. Can I ask
correctly.
you one question before I leave?
No, all I hear is pussy, 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 pussy is all I hear.
And by pussy, there you don't mean like
Pussy is all I hear. Like a big pussy just like yapping, flapping in the wind. So
Okay, yeah, Wildcat, what's your like theory of belief justification?
Hold
Go ahead.
on.